Thank you for Stephen for reminding me today. All right. Okay, so just a little housekeeping. Let me see who is in here. Somebody's in here that's in the 1 second. I know I have somebody in here that's that's an officer. Can't remember who it was. In my officer here in the UPD. It's no, okay, Alexis. All righty, Alexis. Do we have any new information?
At the moment, no. But either this week or next week, we're gonna have a meeting and discuss the possibility of having an in-person UPD meeting. So yeah, that's the only
Okay.
thing I have. And then I don't have anything
Okay.
for HCASF as I'm not part of that organization.
You should join and be in both. Give it
Oh,
some thought.
I am, but I'm not like a board member or anything. I'm just part of like the
Okay.
UPD.
Okay, super. Thank you. All right. Okay, let me see here. Be sure that I have everybody that's here so far. Let's see. Christian's not here. And I think I saw Jaylene. Yeah, she just came in. And uh is Lee here? Nope. And I think I saw Tara come in. Nope, I guess not. Okay, so we're missing Tara and Lee and Chris. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look a little bit at the chapter on the environment, marketing environment. We're not going to go over the PowerPoints, but I want to show you a couple of short videos about it and then see what anybody has any questions about it, because I want to give you time today. I gave my my other class time to work together as a group. And so I want to give you time to work together as a group, finish up your contracts so you can submit them today. Remember that the contract has to state what each person is doing, and everybody has to submit it because I want everybody to agree to what they've been assigned to do or what they've agreed to do or what the group has agreed they should do or whatever it happens to be. So that's what we're going to do the second half of the class. Remember that you have the navigate scenario due on Sunday, and I've had a few questions about it in one of the other classes, not a 353 class, but different classes using it. So, show of hands, would anybody like me to go over the expectations of the scenario? Or are you okay with what we've done so far? Okay. All right. So before we start on the other, what I'm going to do is pull up the information. Give me 1 second here, because I want to be sure everybody understands it. It's not a difficult assignment, but it's a little different than what you've done before. So give me just a second here. All right. By the way, occasionally I put on reggae music to get your blood flowing. Got to expose y'all to reggae music in Jamaica. Okay. We're going to go down here to the directions and then I'll just elaborate on them. And where are they? Give me 1 second to get to them. Okay. So the navigate to basically my purpose for having y'all do these is that they're real life situations and they're done in kind of a neat way. So those of you that haven't had an opportunity yet to look at the videos, they're very interactive. And so you're able to, she'll ask you a question, or he, whichever one is doing it that day. And then you'll have a couple of choices, and you'll choose one of the choices, and then a lot of times it'll cycle back and you'll have to choose the other choice also. But eventually you get all the information. So, and remember also that there is a PDF of everything, all the information from the video with, like it's got who says what and when, and what your final assignment is. So Stephen showed y'all how to get to that. And the video with his directions is online. I sent y'all the link for it. I think it was the second day of class. I don't remember the date, but it's the second day of class, I think. So if you need to review that, you can review that. Also on there is the help number. If you're having trouble getting it to work for some reason, then you need to contact Jones Bartlett. I would take a look at it today or tomorrow morning because they are not open on the weekends. So don't leave it till Sunday and then not be able to get assistance. Okay, so what you're going to do is after you watch the video and they assign to you whatever it is that they want you to try to solve, they're going to give you a problem to try to solve, which is what you'll actually face if you're working in an entry-level position or even higher out in the real world. And you're going to on a Word doc, not email it, not in a memo, but on a Word doc written like a short paper, you're going to, or like a short, well, it doesn't have to, you can use bullet points in it, but you're going to answer how you would actually fix the problem that they posed for you. There's certain things that everyone will realize. There's certain things in there that, like if they're saying that they're trying to fix the emergency room, and when you walk in there, chairs have holes in them, the springs are sticking out of them, poking you in the behind, or it's very drab, or any of those kind of things. And that's some of the things you're going to want to fix. Those are some of the things that absolutely everybody will have. But then what I'm looking for is creative solutions. And I've gotten some really neat creative solutions over the years. So when they give you this situation, then think about what would be a creative but maybe not too expensive way. Like I know some people say, well, let's put a TV at every chair like they have in airplanes, but of course that's out of the question because there's barely enough money to have a TV if there's one in there, much less one at every chair. But think of some creative ways that aren't outlandishly expensive that in reality you could actually use to solve whatever the situation is that they've posed for you. Now, your deliverables on this, you have to have a cover page. You have to have a word count. You cannot use PDF. This is, you have to use a Word doc, and don't use the Word that comes with your computer because I can't open it. You are able to download Microsoft Office from the Software Depot. Students are able to get it. I don't think there's a cost on it. If it is, it's minimal, but I don't think there is. If you can't do that, then I recommend you go to the library or somewhere that has Word accessible to you. So you're going to have the cover page. You don't have to have a header. You do have to have a word count, and you do not have to have references. This is strictly going to be information that you're going to think about and be creative in how you would solve the situation. Now, also part of the Navigate exercises are a set of quizzes that are under the quiz tab, and you'll be doing the scenario 1 quiz this time. That's with the date that'll be on there. And you can actually take those quizzes as many times as that quiz, you can take it as many times as you want to. So, but remember, it only remembers the last time you took it. So if you get a 4 out of 5 and you decide you want to go for a 5 and you take it again and you get a 3 out of 5, that's the one the quiz is going to remember. So when you retake it, you want to retake it until you get a better score or the score that you want. Okay. Again, this is a virtual environment program. So the code is in the Software Depot. If you did not Software Depot, I'm sorry, in your textbook hub. If you did not buy into Day One Access, then I sent out information about how you can get it directly from Jones Bartlett. Just be sure that you get the digital version with the Navigate scenarios. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. Now, are there any questions on the deliverable for these scenarios? Actually, okay, Jonathan,
So for the writing portion, do we need to include the scenario that was given to us, or or do we just need to put our response?
just your response.
Okay.
You can say it was, you can in your title page, you can put, scenario one in the title of it, but the actual writing part is just your response.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Anybody else? If you've read the reviews on me, you probably know that I am really tough on grammar, pretty tough on APA, but I really, really want y'all to know how to write. Grammar is one of even though was not an English teacher, I was a math teacher, but for some reason, grammar really gets my goat. And some of the things that aggravate me more than anything else are using a small case I when you're saying I will do this or I think, and then you don't capitalize that I, that drives me up a wall. My thought on all this is that because of texting, we've become a little lazy in our grammar. And I'm guilty of it sometimes too. I don't capitalize something when I should in texting. But when you're writing professionally, you need to use good grammar that you learn in the second, third, fourth, fifth grade. You need to, because people are going to be reading that. When you apply for jobs, people are going to be reading that. The first thing if they see that your resume has grammatical errors or your cover letter has grammatical errors, immediately you're going to be put in the maybe or not at all list because you're representing the company and they want you to be able to write a sentence. And I can tell you in real time that when I was running the grant for the University of Houston and I had people applying to not only be a part of the student body, but to be faculty teaching, and they would misspell words or use poor grammar, I immediately trashed their application, because I feel like that you need to be a good example if you're working for a company, if you're teaching or whatever it happens to be, and use correct grammar because it represents who you are. And when you're applying for a job, they don't know you. Like I might know you and think, wow, this person would be great in this job, but they don't know you. And so if you don't exhibit your best foot forward, it could cost you a job. Okay. Now, any other questions on this assignment? Okay, super. All right. The first thing we're going to do is let me pull up this. Give me 1 second to go in and get this video. All right, where are you? Hiding from me, as usual. All right.
Welcome to the Business Safari. I'm Leo, and today we're exploring the marketing environment. The marketing environment is everything around a company that affects how it operates and grows. Think of it as the business world that we live in. We can break this down into two main parts: the micro environment and the macro environment. Let's start with the micro environment. The micro environment includes factors that directly impact our business. These are customers, the people who buy our products; competitors, other businesses trying to win our customers; suppliers, companies that provide what we need to operate it; intermediaries, helpers who connect us to customers, like retailers. These are like our immediate neighbors in the business world. Now let's talk about the macro environment. The macro environment are bigger factors that affect all businesses. They include economic conditions, like recessions or booms; political and legal changes, new laws or regulations, social and cultural trends, changing consumer behaviors, technological advancements, new inventions or innovations, and environmental factors, such as climate change policies or resource scarcity. Understanding your marketing environment is crucial as it helps you to spot opportunities, prepare for challenges, and make smarter decisions. Remember, in business, it's not about being the biggest or strongest. It's about adapting to change and staying ahead of the game. That's all for today's Business Safari. I'm Leo, and I'll see you next time. Also,
Okay, that's just a very quick intro. I'm going to show you one other one. Give me 1 second. That it goes into a little bit more detail. Somewhere. Where did this silly thing go? Brother. Sorry, guys. The computer is, well, probably not me. It's probably user error. Probably not the computer at all this time. All right. One second. Okay. Hmm. I'm having trouble with this computer today. 1 second. Okay, one more time.
Map out the external environment of an organization, but you don't know where to start? PESTEL is your answer. Today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the PESTEL analysis. My name is Lars and welcome to a new episode of Business to You. PESTEL, PEST, Steeple, DESTEP or the Spellet analysis. They're all different versions of basically the same thing with the exact same goal, which is to help you analyze the external environment of an organization. This is especially useful when starting a new business or when entering a foreign market or a different industry with an existing company. Before I go into the actual framework, I want to clearly define the external environment that is being examined. Because PESTEL analysis does not just look at any external factor out there, but more specifically to macro-environmental factors. In order to explain it better, let's imagine a fictional company. First of all, you have the company itself. Everything that exists and happens within that company can be considered internal. Think about the organizational structure of the company, the culture, the employees, the management, shareholders, reward systems, etc. Closely surrounding the company, which are therefore external, are competitors, suppliers, distributors, customers or strategic partners. These external elements, so to speak, are in a direct contact with the focal company. They interact with one another. It's a two-way relationship. Sometimes this part of the external environment is called the task environment. Now, it's very important to realize that even though PESTEL is looking at external factors, it is not looking at these factors. Like mentioned before, PESTEL looks at the more general environment, the macro environmental factors, which can have a massive impact on the company, but not the other way around. They therefore have a one-way effect rather than an interaction like with the task environment. If you want to look more into the task environment, I advise you to use Porter 5 Forces, which I will make a video on very soon. So now we have that cleared up, let's go into the PESTEL analysis. PESTEL is an acronym that stands for Political, Economic, Social, Technological, Environmental and Legal Factors. Together they make up quite an exhaustive list of the general environment. In other words, if you look at all of these 6 factors combined when scanning the organization's environment, you are less likely to miss out on any important macro environmental factors. Let's go through all of them one by one. Political. These factors are all about how and to what degree a government intervenes in the economy or a certain industry. Basically, all the influences that a government has on your business could be classified here. This can include government policy, political stability or instability, corruption, foreign trade policies, tax policies, etc. Furthermore, the government may have a profound impact on how a nation's education system works, how infrastructure looks like, and how the health sector is regulated. These are all factors that need to be taken into account when assessing the attractiveness of a potential market. Economic factors are determinants of a certain economy's performance. Factors include the economic growth, exchange rates, inflation rates, interest rates, disposable income of consumers, and unemployment rates. These factors may have a direct or an indirect long-term impact on a company since it affects the purchasing power of consumers and could possibly change the demand and supply in the economy. Therefore, it also affects the way companies price their products and services. You can imagine that in a country where purchasing power is relatively low, prices are also lower. The social dimension. This dimension of the general environment represents the demographic characteristics, norms, customs and values of the population within which the organization operates. This includes trends such as the population growth rate, age distribution, income levels, but also attitudes towards careers, health, lifestyle and possible cultural barriers. These factors are especially important for marketeers when targeting certain customers. In addition, it also says something about the local workforce and its willingness to work under certain conditions. Some people like to distinguish these factors by separating social factors into demographics and cultural or intercultural factors. That explains these different versions of the PESTEL analysis. Personally, I'm fine with the social category since it combines all factors related to the people, but feel free to adapt it in a way that suits you, of course. Technological factors. These factors pertain to innovations in technology and the regulations surrounding technology that may affect the operations of the industry in the market favorably or unfavorably. Think about technology incentives, the level of innovation, automation, R&D activity, technological change and the amount of technological awareness that a market possesses. These factors may influence decisions to enter or not enter certain industries, to launch or not launch certain products, or to outsource production activities abroad. By knowing what is going on technology-wise, you may be able to prevent your company from spending a lot of money on developing a technology that would become obsolete very soon due to disruptive technological changes elsewhere. Environmental factors have come to the forefront only relatively recently. They have become important due to the increasing scarcity of raw materials, pollution targets and carbon footprint targets set by governments, and pressure from NGOs like, for example, Greenpeace. It is important to mention that you shouldn't be confused about the term environmental here, since we also use that to indicate all external factors combined. Environmental simply has a double meaning here, and in this context we use it to address ecological aspects such as weather, climate, environmental offsets and climate change. Basically, the well-being of our planet. Growing awareness of the potential impacts of climate change is affecting how companies operate and what kind of products they offer. This has led to many companies getting more and more involved in practices such as corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So finally, the legal factors. Although these factors may have some overlap with political factors, they include more specific laws, such as discrimination laws, antitrust laws, employment laws, consumer protection laws, copyright and patent laws, and health and safety laws. It is clear that companies need to know what is and what is not legal in order to operate successfully and rightfully. If an organization trades globally, this becomes especially tricky since each country has its own set of rules and regulations. In addition, you want to be aware of potential changes in legislation and the impact it may have on your business in the future. So recommended is to have a legal advisor or an attorney to help you with these kind of things. So all of these factors combined give a good overview of the general environment out there. Which factors are most important for your business might vary based on the country and the industry you are in. As you might be able to imagine, environmental and ecological factors are more important to the oil and automotive industry than, for example, the software industry. So if you want to bring Pestle into practice and actually use it properly, I recommend you to calculate weighted averages of the available options you have. Imagine you are a European company and you're thinking of entering the South American market, but you don't know which country to enter first. What you could do is select a number of Pestle factors that are most important to your business. Let's say we want to look at the economic growth, corruption, and how intellectual property is protected. Give them a weighting of their importance relative to the other factors, and assign grades for each factor per country. In the end, you are able to give each option a weighted average grade and compare them to each other. So you might be wondering where to get that data from. You will actually be surprised how many of the factors that I have just mentioned in this video are already measured and given a score. Even something as corruption, for example, is measured by the Corruption Perception Index. There are many helpful websites where these factors are quantified per country. And of course, I'm here to help you out, so I included some useful links in the description down below. If you like business-related stuff, feel free to subscribe to not miss out on any of our future videos. And if you have any question on the subject, please ask them below in the comment section, because I will try to answer as many as I can. And of course, I highly encourage all of you to help each other out as well and get the discussion.
Okay, so that's a very broad picture. And unless you go straight into marketing where you're working only with marketing, whichever company you're going into, you may not touch on a lot of this, but you need to be aware of this chapter because you could be working as part of a group, or you could actually be assigned to figure out how you can do, for instance, social marketing. What happens a lot of times with our students is that the older generations aren't as familiar with the different types of media, social media. And so they automatically make an assumption that young people just coming out of college have a much better grasp of it. So, you know, you may end up finding yourself that you're the one in charge of the Twitter account, or you're the one in charge of the Facebook account, or whatever it happens to be. So all the information that you can gather looking at social and strategic environments for marketing is going to stead you well at some point in your career, probably when you first get started in a lot of ways. Okay, do I have any questions? Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to put you in your groups. I'm going to force you to stay here until 9 o'clock. You know, a lot of times my groups tell me that, my students tell me, well, we just don't have time. We don't have time to get together. We don't have, you know, no one's available at the same time. But I can tell you right now, this group, everyone should always be available on Tuesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 9:15, period. No excuses. You should always be available. Even if we don't have class scheduled, that time should be set aside to work with your groups. So you should never have the excuse that, well, people don't want to get together. It's, you know, it's a choice. So a lot of times I just force you to work together, which by giving you time in class, which is what we're going to do today. So at the end of this session, y'all should have your contracts pretty well settled, and you should have a plan on how you're going to do your project. What I did forget to tell you was that because I didn't get all of the meeting recorded on Tuesday, I sent y'all the link for the evening recording because I covered the same material. So if you wanted to look at Tuesday's lecture again, you can look at the link I sent you a few minutes ago for the Tuesday night class. And remember that on Tuesday of this coming week, we have the librarian coming, so please be on time. And I'm going to send y'all off to your groups, and then I will bring you back to the main site at probably 9:00. So get your stuff done, get a plan, and then we'll get back together shortly. All right. And you should be able to go into your rooms.